And let's move ahead to the topic that we'll be discussing out today. That is training different from the learning and the development.
Thanks, Pragya. Thank you very much for inviting for this topic. It's a very interesting topic, which I definitely have a lot of passion for. Now, a lot of people intermingle between the training and learning and development. Now, let me give you a very basic difference between both of them. Uh, Training is more from a one-way communications when we are talking to people and then explain to them. While learning and development is talking about a holistic development for an individual. Now let me put it across in a little more different and contextual way here. Training is giving information, knowledge, and informations in a structured way to an individual, while learning and development is extracting knowledge, extracting knowledge from individual, enhancing it and giving back to them. So that's the major difference, both of them. Also, skills, the training is concentrating primarily on the current skills of an individual, while learning and development works on a long-term perspective. So when we talk about enhancing our current skills for his doing his day-to-day work, it's training. But when we work towards making a succession plan of an individual, develop him at to the next level or a next profile kind of instance, that's learning and development. So that's something which is a very, very clear, difference between that. There's also a specific talk which is what are they centric and what are they centered on. So there are three different levels of and dimensions of things, which is product centric, person centric, and problem solving and problem centric. Now there's three. If we are going to be talking, learning training talks primarily when it comes to product centric. Now product is what a person is doing currently, while learning and development mainly concentrate on person and problem solving. Problem solving uses, Nikhil, it is negotiation skills, or there's a problem with the organization. You're going to talk about it, and then you give up training to that individual, take it ahead. No, not exactly. Problem solving is the company has a problem of there's a leader, and the leader will be retiring in another 2 years' time. And when you talk about a successor here, now successor don't give training to go and to take up a leader's position. You work with him in his learning and development journey. Create a environment by the for the predecessor is to the work done by the leadership team and help him to grow to that level. So it doesn't happen on a classroom level. It happens on a more mature level. I'll take few more examples here and a few more differences, which is with examples that will help you to understand. So when we talk about trainings, it is majorly done on a thinking about a short-term plan, while learning and development talks about from a long-term futuristic plan. Let's say in my previous organization we had a challenge of people who have been working in accounts department for quite some time, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and most of them were just a graduate. So there was a lot of problem and challenge with them when they have to interact with customers. Now customers can be expats, it can be production, accounts head of different organizations, and becomes a little difficult for them to talk about. So looking at that short-term plan, things, we have started getting people, to send them for English communication skills, coachings, classroom trainings for English communication. Now help them immediately to start working toward interacting with them. Now there's another set of people whom we wanted to grow them as a manager. Now with communication skills, we were also working them for team building, team handling skills. We were also giving them one person at one time and helping them to manage teams because they were more specialists than team managers. So these are two different aspects of it. One is hardcore training. Second is when I'm talking about a long term, making him at the next level. That's when it comes to learning and development. Next, we talk about uh, job and professional career. Now, job positions requires a person to, okay, I'll again take an example of an accounts person to know Tally. Now, understanding Tally is a job function. It is something which has to do day to day. If he doesn't know Tally, I don't know what he's going to do in the accounts department. Uh, so, so, uh, so defining and making sure that he learns Tele is his job position. While uh, while we talk about his professional career development, we do talk about he picking up let's say the next level of Tele. He picks up enterprise a larger platform here. Okay, so that is when we say that there's a professional career. Secondly, also when we say about professional career development, we say that a person is picking up from an accountant's jobs to a finance job, or from a financial, accounts payable and civil persons to another billing and collection. So there's a software which differs. So he's picking up that. So that's when it comes to job, enhancement. Then third is training is very specific to one objective, where we say that if it is, let's say, some training on communication skills or a training on enhancing your Excel skills, it is one specific subject. Uh, but the moment we talk about and a learning and development, it is little more open-ended. It is more subjective. Um, you can have a great dipstick of a training program where he says, okay, I have trained you on Excel sheet. Uh, Earlier, you were able to do a certain set of work in 2 hours time. Now you can do it in 1 hour time. That's a dipstick which you can talk about. But the moment you talk from a learning and development perspective, it's a long-term thing. It's a little more open-minded because it's going to be implementing and impacting the mind and overall efficiency of an individual and not only specific. So when so um, so learning through a learning and development as perspective, a person says that person initially will able to do 8 tasks. Now he's able to do 12 tasks or on 11 tasks today. So that becomes learning and development for that individual. Uh, Fourth, uh, training is given in people in groups where the moment we say to you, I'm sending you for a training, the first thing which will come to your mind was, I'm going to go into a rest in a hotel. I'll sit there. There'll be a person who will come. He will give us some gyan. There will be some tea break. There will be some nice lunch. I will in the evening. I'll come back and I'm fine with that. My day is done. I don't have to do anything, and I've got my salary and I've got some fun also. Uh, so that's when it comes to group mentalities and the training. While so because that's been imparted from outside to you. When there's a training need identification into an appraiser, it is training need identification. And why not? It is learning and development need identification, because training is something which is tangible and you can quickly look into it and pick it up and impart it. While the more when you understand an individual a little better, you work with that individual for his learning and development, where you are talking about holistic development of individual. Trainings are generally giving in groups. Excel sheet training, communication skills training, given to communication skills been given to an HR person, an accountant person, a receptionist person, is the same group setting across. But moment you're looking at an development of an individual, you look at primarily at an individual level. When is individual is in targeted on a very specific skill sets and skills which a person has to develop. And that's the most critical part to the complete thing. Otherwise, you will miss upon the holistic picture of building a development. I'll take another little example which will cover almost all the 4 pointers which I'm talking about. In my previous organization, which is ECO, which is primarily into ground mobility solutions, we have a lot of drivers with us. Now, these drivers is been with the company for quite some time. And since these are been with the company for quite some time and they have already aged up, most of the drivers are 50, 55, 55 plus. There was always a challenge to be sending them for duties, especially when it comes to senior colleague, senior people in the, and people like younger drivers more, but they have more experience in terms of doing things. So what we started doing it, one is obviously there is a day-to-day training which is imparted to these drivers to become a little better driver in terms of traffic signals, traffic signs, what are the papers they have to carry, what are the, uh, you know, checking on their licenses, about their, driving license in terms of their pollution checks, etc. So that's learnings and they are doing it in a way. Next level is then they have been talked about how they can be interacting with the customer. So that becomes again a training because it's a very basic. It's going to be impacting their day-to-day work. Uh, Third level was when we started working with the senior drivers to become mentors and buddy for the younger ones. One. Secondly, when they becomes mentor and buddy for them, they one started getting a little more grooming. They have got that thing of I am a senior guy. I have to take care of the younger ones. That responsibility comes into that picture. We don't have to keep on sending them for 2-minute duties because obviously their eyesights may be a little weaker and they, reflexes goes a little down. But then they becomes great trainers. They becomes a great persons. The younger driver can go for guidances. Now that portion of developing them to a mentor and a buddy and a that is when it comes to learning and development because an attitude and a thought process has to be changed from being a driver only to someone who's going to be teaching and telling the person how they can drive well and how can they can drive customers and how they can earn more tips. I think that the tipping systems are the very advanced stage of there. So that kind of a thing happens when it comes to learning and development. So so that's the very clear difference between when it is basics on job skills and when you're developing a person to take up a complete different level. Another example, my current organization, I typically divide them into three different sets of people. One are the people who are generally at a leadership level, and generally at a leadership level, people are very willing to change and wanted to make a difference in their life. Second, people are on mid-scale level, let's say on manager level who has team to perform, team to manage. And third is really the executive, senior executive level, which do not have teams and sometimes even assistant managers. Now, these are three different levels and different thoughts of people. And all the three have a very, very different needs. Uh, Typically talking about, there is something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when we put across this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, everyone has a different need today. And we cater to their specific needs just to ensure that they are able to work on them. Now, the junior most person, his training is majorly training because we want him to be very, very efficient in what his person is doing. And he grows into that efficiency level and become an expert to it. So that is why I require training there. The moment I go to a manager level, I require a mix of a training and a people development or a learnings for that individual because one, he need to understand how to manage people. He also have to have an efficiency of what he's currently doing. And he has to increase his efficiency of from doing one specific task to doing multitasking. Third, when it comes to leadership, it is 95% is when it comes to the development of individual because a person has to be groomed to do multi things at the same time. Think, be very specific on terms of operations, marketing, trainings, etc. He should have an understanding about financials. He should have an understanding about plans for the future. Uh, and he should be looking at the larger and holistic picture. Now, once we are looking at it, his mindset and horizon has to be in a larger platform and not very specific and sticking around with more day-to-day transactions. So that is where the difference is. So it's typically talking about the bottom line is 95% training and 5% LNG. Mid-level is approximately 50-50. And the moment we take it to the top level, it is 95 development of individual, maybe 5% technical. That's how I like to put it across. And as per me, these are the major differences between between training and learning and development. Uh, that's it, Pragya.
All right, Nikhil, I think a very different kind of perspective when you spoke about the example of the drivers and all, because then you have developed them into a role which they have never thought that they can still be fruitful to the association, and you have
True.
given them a sense of purpose as well. At the same time, the new
Absolutely.
drivers have gained across from the exposure and the experiences they happen to have handling multiple customers, multiple situations. So that has been very much insightful.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we could do it quite successfully, in fact.
Right. Thanks for your time today. And
Thank
in the end of this discussion, I would like to know about your experience with the HR Success Talk, and then we'll wrap up the discussion today.
Okay, great. Pragya, I think so. I had a great session with you, and gone through the website, gone through the way the work which HR Success Talk is doing. It's excellent. I'm sure there are people who are supporting you. Kudos to them, and I'm looking forward for being associated with HR Success Talk for a much longer time. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks for your time today.